Well, this is something different. Most of the accent diesels we see on the road is the hatchback, so it's pretty distinctive. If you see it's a hatchback Hyundai accent, it's automatically a 1.6 diesel. But they did come out with a sedan version, which is this one, which is also a 1.6 turbo diesel. And this guy will be having his exhaust done, so we'll be putting a full Borla exhaust here with 2.5-inch piping, and of course, nandito na eh. Might as well do ECU remap. With all of that done, we're expecting about 30, 40 horses from it. By the way, this is a automatic car because we still get the odd question every so often that is it okay to modify even if it's automatic. Newsflash for all of you guys, 98% of all cars sold now are all automatics. The manual is dying, so there is no way that we can make a business case for a shop like this if only we're serving the manual transmission cars. You think all the Fortuners out there you see are manual? Of course not. There's no manual Fortuner anymore. It's all automatic. There's no manual Camry. There's no manual FJ Cruiser. The only manual left are the cheap cars. So yes, can definitely tune and modify an automatic, and yes, it will make power, and yes, you will feel it. So if you have ever encountered an old mechanic that says, matik yan, walang kwenta yan, hindi mabagal yan, huwag mo na kausapin yun, walang alam yun. This is the stock downpipe of the accent diesel. Curiously, if you see here, it's stamped Hyundai and Kia because the 1.6 engine is common to a lot of models. So the Kia Soul also actually has the same engine as the accent, so it's still 1.6 turbo diesel. And the questions we keep getting from owners who know nothing about their cars is, paano yung sensor? Babalik ba? Well, newsflash for you. It doesn't have a sensor. It's a diesel car. Sensors are only for gasoline cars. So it's usually if it's a gasoline car, there's one sensor here on top, there's another sensor here somewhere at the bottom. But since this is a diesel, you don't need one. It doesn't work that way. And then the other question we get, will you be removing the DPF? This is not a DPF. This is just a normal catalytic converter. So no, yes and no. We will be removing the DPF, and no because you don't have one. Well, not yet. Maybe in the next iteration of the accent diesel we'll have a DPF, but not for this one. So what's inside? I don't think we can get a camera here to see what. Let's shine a light on it inside, so we'll get a look what is inside. Actually, a catalytic converter. I can see that checkered path. There you go. There you can see that checkered thing inside. That's the actual catalytic converter, and what it does is it breaks up the gases that comes out. So from, I think, NOx2 it becomes NOx, so a slightly less pollutant gas. So it's just there, and yes, it's true, what's inside that ceramic matrix is platinum, palladium, and all the other rhodium and all the other precious metals that's microscopically deposited. That's why they steal these things in America. They refine the precious metals out of it and throw the rest away. But again, it's not a DPF, then there are no sensors, so there's no check engine to worry about if that's what you're asking. All right, this is our Accent 1.6 sedan with the exhaust installed, and most people, when they read the dyno chart, they actually ignore 90% of it. They don't look at that. They only look at this, and that's not the correct way to read it, because if you do that, so let's say you cover that up, and you look at here where the comparison is, so yellow is before, green is after, so you'll see like 101 to 110. Huh? What? One horse? Barely. Actually, not even a horse. It's like 0.15 horse. And then here you'll see 158 to 171. That's around 10-ish, 12. That's not the whole story. That's not how you read a dyno chart, because horsepower is not one single number. What most people always forget is when they read horsepower on the internet, on the brochure, say it's 160 horse. Always, it's followed by an at something RPM. 99.99999% of you do not read that. That is important. So knowing that, we will see here that 110 horse. So you have to look at the dyno chart in its entirety, not just one single RPM point. So if you look at this whole thing, this dotted line is our before. This is our after. So what you do is you compare horsepower per RPM. So at 22 RPM, you went from 15 to 50 horse. At 26 RPM, you went from 30 to 60. Then 50 to 80, 60 to 90, so on and so forth. Then what you do is you get the average of all of those gains. And this one, so the gains here are 0. So you include that in the average. If you want to take the average of this whole thing, you put everything in Excel. Then this entire area will show that you get around 12-15 horses in total. That's how you compute horsepower, not just by looking at what single point. Torque is also the same. You have to compare the torque every RPM. So again, so at 22, we went from 40 to 120, 60 to 120, 100 to 160, so on and so forth. So this one, I've been doing this a long time, so I can pretty much average this out. This is around 25, 35 foot-pounds of torque right there. So you get about 12-15 horses from the exhaust, 25, 35 foot-pounds of torque. This is still without the remap, which we will still be doing, and we expect the horsepower to go up this time. And one of the reasons why with an exhaust, especially on the diesel engines, you see, if it's just an exhaust mod, you see most of the gains are actually up to peak horsepower, then goes away. Because exhaust, it's a pipe. At low RPM, there's not a lot of volume of air going out. But once the revs go up, the volume gets bigger. That's where the restriction comes into play. So it's still a bit restricted because of the turbo and all of that. So that's why, and the fueling hasn't been adjusted. But again, how often are you guys at 3,400, 3,500 RPM anyway? 99.99% of you people don't even reach that high.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life